Hello.
Hi. Oh, it's so good to see
It's so
you.
good to see you. It's been ages.
It's been ages. Oh, what's on the piano? I want to know.
Um, it's it's Chopin and it's first book of Debussy Preludes,
Oh,
part of
beautiful.
PhD exam.
Yeah, are you, what's the deal? Are you doing school at home?
Well, now it's still on hold,
Uh,
but it's gonna. I think it's gonna. They're starting to work until I think end of May, so um, it's gonna start working hopefully.
okay. Okay. Well, let's get started.
Yeah.
So I was telling everyone a little bit about you and that you're in Belgrade right now, and that I was there 2 years ago, and that's when I
Oh,
last
that's
saw you in
wonderful.
person. um, so you are a pianist, obviously. You're an opera singer. When and how did you decide to add fashion designer to the many hats you wear?
Okay, so it was in I was doing my master's in London. That
Mm-hmm.
was 2 years ago, two and
Mm-hmm.
something years ago. And it kind of happened pretty naturally with all the, I mean, with all the costumes we wear, with
Mm-hmm.
um, like we are pretty used to it. And I came to an idea to
Yeah.
kind of make this small capsule collection inspired by
Mm-hmm.
opera and
Mm-hmm.
opera divas and roles.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea in the beginning was just to have a photo shoot and then that would be it. I didn't plan on having a brand. I didn't have plan on having a, a runway and everything. But you know, I don't dream small, so
Mm.
it kind of grew
Good.
pretty fast, and yeah, and then ended up being showcased in collections were showcased in Dubai, in Milan this year, and it became part of what I do.
Mm. Mm. Yes, I remember your first collection that you were sending me the photos and you're telling me, okay, guess
Oh
which
yeah,
role is this dress inspired by?
yeah,
And yeah, I think people can still find those photos when you
yeah,
at
back
the beginning
on
of the
the
Instagram,
end of
right?
the feed. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right, right. Oh, they're gorgeous.
Thank you.
So that leads me to my next questions. Your designs are strongly inspired by your background in classical music and opera. Can you share with us how you create this relationship between music and design?
I don't know why my camera is turning. Just tell me if it is again.
I
Um,
see you perfectly now.
okay, good. Um, so, I mean, I don't know, it just is because first and foremost, I'm a musician.
Mhm.
So it just makes sense that all of my designs are in some way or form inspired by music. And every time I was doing a collection that was going to be on runway, or uh, if it was costumography for a theater production or whatever, it just I sort of had the vision of it on stage, and with that, I had in my head an idea who is wearing it and what the sound is and what the message is. So it kind of makes all sense together.
Mhm.
And now, for the first time, I'm not doing it's actually the next few collections I'll be doing are not inspired by music.
Okay.
Um, the one is going to be a ready-to-wear collection,
Mhm.
and the other one is going to be inspired by work of Nikola Tesla.
Uh-huh.
And I'll be preparing that for London Fashion Week.
Mm.
So Yeah, that's going to be a step out for me, but I hope it goes well because it's going to be a bit different for me.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, probably to it helps to expand your audience, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, we spoke about different opera divas, hopefully soon wearing my
Yeah.
stuff, and from this new collection from Milan, there is a bunch of stuff that I would love to see on uh, on many opera divas, but I would I would also like to see myself singing next to them. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that would be
in your
ideal.
designs.
Yeah,
Amazing. That would be the dream, right? Like you said, you
yeah,
dream big. I love it.
I might as
Um,
well.
yeah. So you're very young, but you're already a successful designer. Why do you think your musically inspired designs resonate with people all over the world? Because it's not a case where, you know, it's only people in the opera industry who are paying attention to you. This is really something that has had appeal to all sorts of people.
I think maybe it's because it's different. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not so often that you would see, you know, a designer who is also a musician and
Yeah.
and a singer and a pianist. But also, I like to think of it as these 22 years of education in music, also kind of being 22 years education in art.
Uh-huh.
Because especially with opera, I mean, music is not just music, it's art. And I strongly believe that it led me to being more just generally educated in art. And
Hmm.
I think that what resonates with the audience most.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
just the idea of trying to make pieces um, be beautiful and to glorify the female beauty and not I'm not making a political statement. I'm not making unless I decide to. I mean, I probably will
Hmm.
do something like that at some point as well. But
Hmm.
just so far, it was just inspired by art, and I think people in recent years started missing beauty on the runway. So I think
Hmm.
just something beautiful resonates well with everybody.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I think
And
that's the general reason.
yeah, and I love this topic that you bring up, that music isn't just music, or specifically opera isn't just singing or music, it's art. And as an artist, the more we know of other types of arts and other things in general, the more complete we are.
Yeah,
So this makes me think how, since you've been designing, how has this informed your music making? Have you noticed any change? Do you feel like a fuller artist in a sense?
I've the last concert I had, the last few performances I did, I felt much more confident on the stage.
Mm,
Because I think the
yeah.
doing all of the shows, it was really nerve-wracking. Like doing the Dubai one with the shakes and like 60-meter long runway, and just it was pretty nerve-wracking just jumping into the whole scene, and then
Yeah.
going back to doing piano recitals and singing. It kind of made me feel even more at home than before. But
Mm,
also, I have much less time as well, which is not ideal.
mm.
So I'm trying to juggle, um,
Balance it. Yeah.
balance it, and it's not easy. one of the main things I want to do is to finish my PhD next year. And you know, with this whole situation that it's happening in the world, um, I don't think high fashion is going to be focal point um, in, you know, these months or even years maybe. So I
Mm-hmm.
have time to spend more on music, which
Mm.
I really missed it. And I've been looking into, you know, uh, summer programs, and then I realized no, you cannot do summer programs. Uh, they're just, you know, they're not going to happen. So
Yeah.
it's that's been really sad. And just thinking back how wonderful IVAI was in New
Mm.
York, and
Yeah.
just being surrounded by the best in the industry, and just it just lifts you up
Yeah.
to be really badass at it, at what you do.
Yeah. 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 But I do think this what you said about, you know, sometimes doing something else and then coming back, you know, it's your portfolio, right? The more things you do, the more you can learn, and it can inform, you know, maybe what is at your core. But you know, doing something like so challenging like a fashion show like that with such exposure, then maybe makes other things seem, you know, more accessible in a way, or gives you more
Yeah,
confidence because you have achieved something so difficult that wasn't necessarily in your comfort zone, that you're like,
yeah,
okay, now I can do anything, right?
yeah. And it's also made me realize that I don't have to rush myself so much, especially with singing,
Mm,
because when I started, especially being a dramatic tenor, I've always felt this huge pressure to, you know, get
mm,
successful really fast and do the
yeah,
role, big roles really fast because I was able to sing them, but then again, I wasn't ready.
yeah,
Uh, and that kind of at some points came crashing down for me because I couldn't handle or the repertoire technically or mentally or just the institutions I was singing at. I couldn't handle it. So just realizing that still in my 20s, I really don't have to rush anywhere, especially as a tenor. Um, and whilst I was still just singing, that was this huge pressure I had. And now doing this as well, I kind of had a bit of a step back and realization that the voice is actually still developing, still growing, and you know, if it all of it happens, and also it gave me time to actually concentrate on my health as well
mm-hmm,
and looks as well because unfortunately it's not irrelevant. It's actually very, very, very important.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
really, you know, unfortunately, I had many, many, many no's at auditions where just I was told I was perfect for the role. I sang, you know, my heart out, but you know, I was too big,
Mm,
and I kind of I'm really interesting to see now when I lost so much weight.
mm,
Um, you know, and that was the mostly advice that I was given in IVAI. You know, the voice is there, just continue, but you know, you need to change your appearance,
mm,
otherwise it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen,
mm,
and it kind of wasn't happening. I mean, I was
mm,
getting some roles, but it was always, um, you know, something that I didn't want to do, or somebody was trying to shrink my voice so I could fit different roles. But I was just, okay, I'll do this for my health first and foremost, and
mm-hmm.
then, okay, if they need a skinnier leading tenor, then, you know, it's a reality.
Yeah,
And you know it. Everybody knows it.
yeah,
We can pretend it's not there, but it's there.
yeah. But let's say, and of course, I mean, that's the thing, right? With dramatic voices, there are so many cases of, you know, artists in their 20s, singers in their 20s that feel so lost, or teachers don't know what to do with them. And it's just a matter of time, truly, and not only time like physically and vocally, but also mentally, you know. And but there's still, we're artists. It's again this topic, at the end of the day, we're artists, we're not just singers. So there are so many things you can continue to do and to develop, to, you know, develop your artistry, develop your brain, your thoughts. And when the voice matches, if you kept working on all of that, at some point your voice is going to match
Yeah,
it.
but
But if you didn't.
industry, the industry is pushing for younger. I mean, when I was in London, we would get these, like, as everybody else does, these like daily or weekly emails with upcoming auditions and everything.
Mhm.
And you, from Germany and from Austria especially, you will get literally, and I'm not exaggerating this. I screenshotted this one. It was for the role of my brain stopped. It was for Traviata. Um,
Alfredo.
yeah, Alfredo.
Mhm.
And the stats for the lead ten for Alfredo was 22 to 26 at the 185, 75 kilos, blonde,
Wow.
pecs. These were stats.
Mm.
And this is Alfredo. You need to sing at 22, and you need to be blonde, and you need to be skinny, and you need to have six pack. So that's, I screenshotted it to have it forever, because I would often think, something's wrong with me, and then no, it's not me. It's actually not me.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
carry the role. It's their own and that's why they're having less and less people in the audience, because they seem to be unable to grasp the idea that the people want to go to the opera to see beautiful staging, to hear amazing music, to hear amazing singing, to see amazing acting.
Mm.
And they keep putting on kind of wannabe models, half naked or completely naked, who cannot sing for their lives.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm. Mm.
Constantly miscast. And as long as it's like that, it's going under.
Mm.
And so that's the pressure we all have.
Mm.
They accept people to conservatories. They're younger and younger and younger every year. You
Mm.
know, um, what does one tenor, like dramatic or spinto, whatever it is at that age, at 17? What the hell do you know? I mean,
Yeah.
the it's the muscles. It all cannot develop at that time.
Mm.
For somebody it may that for somebody it may, but it's just more rare than the
Mm.
case.
Mm-hmm.
So this
So what?
gave me.
No,
Yes, sir.
continue. I'll ask after.
Yeah. This gave me sort of a different perspective to all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of to see, okay, I have time. I'm
Mm.
not in a rush. I also have a backup plan. For most of the singers, it's also a monetary issue. It's an issue of how are they going to earn money if they're not getting the roles. So they push themselves in wrong directions, and it's so much easier said than done when you get to classes with amazing teachers and they say, you shouldn't be singing this, disregard these auditions, etc. But then again, where are they gonna earn their money? You
Mm.
know,
Mm. Mm.
for
Mm.
example, at this moment, our government gave zero money to culture,
Mm.
zero. So, what are freelance musicians and artists going to do?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's the question I cannot really answer, because you
Yeah.
have all these mixed messages you get from people. You need to work, you need to do this, and this, look certain way, be young, but then again be experienced, and
Yeah.
have the technique, but don't have time to learn it. So,
So
you
how do you
know,
think us, our generation, what can we do to, change this? Because at the same time, situations are a certain way if people are accepting it. So what do you think, as a performer, as an artist, as a citizen of the opera world, of the artistic world, what can the younger generations do to change this situation? Unless they're okay with it. But of course, as you're saying, a lot of people, a lot of our colleagues in our generation are not okay with the situation. And so what do you think, are some things we can start doing individually every day to change this and to have a better future for this industry?
well, first of all, we glorify, and when I say we, I don't necessarily mean you and I,
Mm-hmm.
but we glorify again singers that are not actually that good based on their amazing PR or appearance or something else. Um, it's very, you see it very often that the best singers are kept as backups or because they don't look the certain way or um, I don't know, people in power are not deserving of it. I mean, I don't know if I should. I feel like I want to be saying this out loud,
Mm-hmm.
and it might not be so wise, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I felt it on my skin way too many times. Um, just going audition, blasting through it. Just it happened here once in Serbia. They were casting for Yolanta,
Mm-hmm.
and I was much bigger back then. And for audition, I sang for them every solo of German from Queen of Spades,
Mm-hmm.
um, just to kind of show them, okay, I can do even a bigger, more dramatic Tchaikovsky role, and I'm ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew one of the people who were the adjudicators for it, and they all agreed, yeah, he is the one who should be singing it, but the soprano is skinny, and they cannot have him next to her.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking it was a very low budget production in a city that doesn't have a major opera house. So I was thinking like the hell with this, I'm not gonna feel bad, but they are the ones who are, missing out. And they ended up actually not casting anybody because they had a singer that they liked how I sang, but they didn't like the looks. And then they had people who they liked how they looked, but they couldn't sing, and they ended up actually not doing the the production.
Mm-hmm.
So that baffles me, you know.
Well, I
Um,
mean, this sort of issue is not going to go away unless people talk about it, and bring it up. So I think it's a good thing that you're sharing this, your personal experience with the situation, what you decided to go do about it, and how you're still expressing your artistry, and in a way, this challenge has still, you're learning from it, because it's telling you in a way, so many times we go through things, but it everything teaches us something. So this in a
mhm,
way has made you see that you have time, and that you're gonna choose to take this time, and to create a fashion line, or do other things that are
mhm,
still, gonna make you a bigger and better and more open-minded artist. And one day, when you're on the stage, when you're designing the costumes, when you're running the opera company, you're someone with a vision that is different to the things you had to experience. And
Yeah.
that can only be good. That can only lead to change.
And
So,
it's important that we don't change our opinions if, and hopefully we do get at the, the positions where we can be the one who made the important decisions. It's important not to let the society just change you.
yeah,
Um, sort of just to remember how our path was, and then, keep that in mind whilst making decisions for others,
yeah,
because it's you know um, it's really difficult, especially with for me with singing. Singing is a part of you because you are your instrument. It's different with piano. I played full recitals with high fever, half dead, and I blasted through it. Nobody saw it. But it's just when you're unwell, when you're not feeling in different ways, just this is a part of you, and it kind of all these um, no's we get, and all these I don't know, like these certain um, um,
blocks.
stereotypes,
Yeah.
blocks and stereotypes of opera singers. Um, I think it hurts us more than other musicians,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I think singing is so personal,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even
Yeah.
even more than instrumental music.
Yeah. 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 That's a good point. So, I have some other questions. So right when this crisis, the COVID-19 crisis started, you were in Milan. You were a part of the Milan Fashion Week. So can you tell us a little bit how much of the Fashion Week were you there for? How was that experience? How was the experience of being there at the core of it, and traveling and all of that?
Yeah, well, we got there a day before they announced the first group of people that were infected in Milan, and
Mm,
then the next day it was already in hundreds. And then I was very lucky that my show was held on
mm,
22nd, because already on 23rd most of the shows were half empty, and the last day was canceled.
mm,
Um, some designers held the shows closed because without the audience, just with cameras. So in that way, I was lucky, um, and I was holding the sign, pray for China, because at that moment the whole chaos was in Wuhan.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, we were lucky. We went home 2 days later, and they closed off the city the next day.
Mm,
So it's also what's going on, and I'm in complete disbelief.
mm,
Here in Serbia, at the moment, they're lowering the measurements of control now, because it's actually a quite controlled virus at the
mhm,
moment.
mhm,
So the concern is greatly decreased. I'm just worried how will it develop in next 2 weeks. So that will be the question, if the virus has weakened, or
mhm,
was it just because we were in lockdowns for 3 out of 7 days, and every day after 5 p.m.
mm,
And Friday, Saturday, Sunday, complete lockdown. So, are the current percentages and numbers due to that, or is it just the virus that's weakened? So I
mhm.
think we'll see that in next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, all of the performances, concerts, everything is of course canceled. I was supposed to do a major piano recital with National Radio Orchestra to play Brahms' first concerto. I think we'll postpone that to next year. And hopefully I'm scheduling a concert for October. They're talking about a new wave of virus coming. I mean, we have to plan our lives. You know, we cannot just live in this limbo of not knowing what's going to happen. So hopefully all is well. But yeah, I would say we were the whole team, because I did have a team with me in Milan. We were very lucky then. How fast we got out, and that none of us got ill or you know. But also when we came here, we all
We
went
can't
to.
hear you well. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is now better?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so when we got here, we all went to self-isolation, like self-quarantine, even though it wasn't, you know, advised at the moment. It just made perfect sense to do it.
Yeah.
And as soon as we got out, they stated emergency. So it's been isolation for me for over 2 months now. Yeah.
Yeah, here too. So you mentioned that you were traveling with a team. What is a team in a fashion week context?
Well, it's my team. You know, I'm sure major designers or, you know, fashion houses have God knows how many people. This team was it was my manager, PR, my dad, and my sister. So,
Oh,
but
I
it
love
was
it.
the best team ever. But
Oh.
the case was the production in Milan was absolutely spectacular. Emerging Talents Milan, and so the people I would have brought from home there were already there. So the most amazing makeup team, the most amazing hair team, the staging, the castle where it was held, everything was just so cool. And it fit perfectly with my collection theme and theme. And so yeah, that was really cool. Really
So
cool.
how would you compare a fashion show with, you know, an opera performance or a theater show that, you know, the shows we're used to compared to the making of a fashion show?
It just completely different. I mean, just it's completely different because so much of it's not in my hands when it starts, you know. The music can stop, the models can rip the dress, they can fold. I mean, the lighting can go wrong. The people who need to be there and show up might not be there. So there's so many things that can, you know, that need to be perfect and might not be. When playing piano, it's just so many years of doing it. So, you know, if I've learned my rep and sit on the piano, I kind of know how it's going to be. So there is less surprise there.
Yeah.
But then again, regarding the dresses, I have months and months and months and months to prepare, and what I put on stage is already, you know, done. So it's kind of difficult to compare, but it's also a show. So yeah, some similar
Well,
points and some very different points.
well, I would say what's similar with opera is that, you know, the magic of it is that so many things can go wrong
Yeah, yeah,
at any moment. That's what
yeah.
makes it thrilling, right?
It does, yeah. But yeah, it's the rush I had for my first show was insane. Like
Hmm.
that was because it was so completely new. I mean, and of
Right.
course the every single piece was inspired by different opera role, and it was so close to me. And the finale was Anne Boleyn execution scene, and just the with the huge Tudoresque color and everything.
Yeah.
And then the model just, you know, understood my wish, how she kind of she was so badass, and she's so badass in that finale, you know,
Yeah.
in Copy and Equa, just kind of like I cannot
The
swear on this
spirit
channel, I
of
cannot,
your
but
piece. Yeah.
but kind of like when she turns around and she's almost screams at the audience and just kind of moves her hair and puts her head on the chopping board. So
Mhm.
that's the something I wanted to embody, and she did it perfectly. And I was actually crying my eyes out, which I never
Oh.
do. You know me, I'm not much of a crier, but that was really, really emotional. So yeah,
Oh.
yeah. In
And
that way, it was a production. Yeah.
so how does it work with the models who run who do the runway in your shows? Do you have a say? Do you pick them, or
Yeah, you
does
do
someone else?
casting.
Okay, you
You
do the
do the casting.
casting.
Yeah,
Okay.
you do the casting. Yeah, and
Okay.
some of them you already know. I have my favorites. And then yeah, some of them you already like many others you know in advance you want, and for others you do the casting. And what I've been doing, aside from the last few shows, was also having our Serbian celebs
Hmm.
walk the runway, which is
Hmm.
you know my friends and people I know, and it gives more of a life
Yeah.
to the, and it's also showcasing that my clothing can be worn by regular people, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
different heights, different sizes. So yeah, I think it's in the hand of designer to make you know um, anybody look amazing in whatever. It's
Yeah.
not just a size zero. You know,
Yeah.
and that's the thing I didn't like about making them the dresses for Milan
Mm.
was that they had to be, you know, so small,
Mm.
and that's something I'm against. You know, of course,
Mm.
if somebody is a size zero, you know, you're a
Yeah.
size
Yeah.
zero. That's
Yeah.
perfectly fine, but most women and men aren't.
Hmm.
So it's also important to show body positivity, and not,
Hmm.
you know, not I'm not saying that obesity is healthy. You know,
Hmm.
I've
Hmm.
seen many designers when you know, just saying that the plus size models loving the curves, yes, but there's a difference between being curvy and being unhealthy. And myself,
Hmm.
you know, I was morbidly obese person, you know, and
Hmm.
it's not
Hmm.
easy to talk about it, but you met me when I was,
Hmm.
and I'm not anymore.
Hmm.
And it's not something that I think should be promoted. There's a difference between regular sizes, curvy women, and then, you know, unhealthy weight.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then I feel like a lot of it, for example, with Dolce Gabbana, it's just a PR stunt to have a really old lady and then to have a really overweight, unhealthy woman wearing your dress. You're not saying you're an amazing designer, you're promoting something that's not healthy.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
you know,
Yes.
I hope I said it right, you know.
I
I
think
hope you
so. I think it's
understand.
coming across because, I mean, basically, is you want to design and work for all kinds of people, all kinds of bodies, but not using it as publicity, as look,
Yeah,
I'm doing things right, like you're supposed to do them. No, you just do them and you let that work speak for itself.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so about this topic of, body positivity and working with all sorts of body types, um, how do you mostly work? Do you prepare a couple like sample sizes and then do custom made
Yeah, that's
designs?
how it goes.
Okay.
Especially, I mean, with haute couture, they're all one of a kind pieces. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't make them twice. So if
Okay.
they were made for runway, they will be sample size. But then again, the custom work is also the most of the what I did custom was haute couture as well, and that
Uh-huh.
was in many sizes. And then
Mm-hmm.
ready to wear, you make a sample size that gets photographed. You make an editorial, you make a campaign, and
Mm-hmm.
then you make different sizes, of course, after.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh. And I had one more
so
question regarding the runway and your models. Do you give them stage directions, let's say, or
yeah,
your intention for them to
yeah.
walk? Okay.
I put a lot of attention to it, and especially, for example, when I do the casting,
Mm-hmm.
I play them the music they're gonna walk to,
Mm-hmm.
and every time they were very surprised, because for one collection called Royals that I
Mm-hmm.
did for Dubai, I
Yeah.
was explaining them not to walk. I mean, they're all gorgeous. They're all beautiful women, um, girls, women. But I was telling them, you're not walking the Victoria's Secret lingerie. You're all queens, you know, and just try to embody this posture, this
Mm-hmm.
like regalness. This walk should be slow and full of
Yeah.
self-worth and full of vanity and all these you know
Yeah,
things
I
that
mean, you're basically stage directing your fashion
yeah
show.
and yeah, because I have the music in mind, I've done the clothes, I have styling that I'm going to do in my mind, and then I know what the space is going to be like, and then I know what type of models I want, and I know how they should be walking
Mm-hmm.
the runway. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be it would be something completely different if it was an underwear
Uh-huh.
runway. Then it would
Mm-hmm.
be probably, I'm sure, upbeat music, and it will be all about sex appeal and everything, but this just wasn't the
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Right. So I have one more questions. So we touched a little bit on future things you had planned. Um, I wanted to know, more specifically if there are some plans for the future that you have for the brand, and or for your other artistic endeavors. And since you brought up dreaming big, what are some of your wildest dreams that you have for all of these endeavors?
Okay, so a lot of my plans, not a lot, all of my plans changed during because of this situation, and
Mm-hmm.
sure everybody's. So,
Mm-hmm.
for me, happened to
Yeah.
everybody. The most important thing is to, stay alive and to hopefully, yeah, stay alive. That's the
Yeah.
goal. Still,
Yes,
stay
stay
home and
home,
stay
stay
alive.
healthy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'm saying I had to change a lot of things. And at the moment where the world is so struggling with just, you know, basic thing as staying alive, it's
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's difficult to make huge plans.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, definitely after certain period when I feel like things are going back to normal as much as possible, um, I will um, I will do a next one out of the big four fashion shows, fashion weeks. And I really wanted to
Come to New
be.
York.
I do want to come to New York. Yeah, but I think, I mean, London is going to be next,
Hmm.
um, because it was already in the talks and everything
Yeah.
was, um, you know, building up for it. And I feel like the collection I have for there in my mind is perfect for London because all of these centers kind of have their own specific,
Hmm.
you know, vibe, I think.
Hmm.
And for New York, I don't know if I embody New York Fashion Week. I don't know. We'll see. But
We'll see.
definitely that would be one of the next things. And one of the most thrilling things I did last year was um, doing the costumography for When Nietzsche Wept. So doing another costumography for a show um, would be wonderful, and
Hmm.
just uh, I will be most of the concerts I have planned in next period are gonna be humanitarian and doing a lot of it in philanthropy and everything. Um, it's just something that I've been doing since ever.
Hmm.
Um, I don't always feel the need to, vocalize it or announce it or just,
Hmm.
um, in my opinion, just do it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of that,
Hmm.
and yeah, we'll see how everything turns out. I mean, I'll be doing something new with music and videos and maybe something more mainstream
Uh-huh.
regarding combination of classical and more modern music.
Hmm.
Um, just I want it to be perfect. That's why it's not still, out and
Hmm.
ready. Um, yeah, so those are some vague answers to your very.
No, that's I know anything regarding the future right now is has to be a little vague, of course,
I
but I
don't
think
want to be
it's
over optimistic and say like
yeah,
these are my plans.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
first thing that's coming out is the ready to wear collection, which is highly inspired by 80s,
Mhm.
70s, 80s disco glam. So it's going to be more affordable, and kind of just cool and
Mhm.
sort of um, you know just fun. And
Yeah.
the editorial, and I see the amazing hairdresser who will be doing the photo shoot is watching. Um, um, so the whole idea of neon lights and just the logo because it's going to be a sub brand.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, it's going to be it's called XOXO by Stefan
Oh,
Djokovich. I just like,
I love it.
everybody who loves New York has seen Gossip Girl, and then
Yeah.
XOXO is, uh, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. So what are some of the pieces that are in a ready to wear collection?
It's still evening wear,
Okay.
or party wear. It's just more accessible. It takes less time to make, and it's
Mm,
it's kind of it will appear to a wider range of audience.
okay.
Just as ready to wear does,
Hmm.
in its
Hmm.
nature.
Hmm.
But it's glam. It's a bit punk, and it's bit 70s, bit 80s, and it's disco,
Oh, I love. I can't wait to
and it's
see.
all it's neon, and yeah, it's going to be really cool. And the
Oh.
team I have for the campaign is amazing. The photographer, the makeup artist, the everybody, the models. I think I'm looking for first and foremost to finally working after these months, because I personally wasn't in the mood to practice piano.
Hmm.
I take my hat off to everybody who was able to just practice during
Hmm.
their free time. I wasn't feeling like it, you know.
Hmm.
I had so much to learn, but I didn't.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, but you know me, I work best under pressure, so
Yeah.
so I think it's going to be as usual, you know, month before the
Yeah, but
recital.
I think this time, everyone had to leave expectations at the door and do whatever they needed to do. And I don't think, whether you worked a lot or you didn't, it was still, it wasn't wasted time for anyone, because then it probably meant that you needed to rest, which is
Yeah.
also good. The body is wise. So whatever, if you needed to rest for 2 months, and then when things pick back up, you might be surprised, you're
Yeah,
super inspired.
it would have never happened. I actually didn't have oh, this is a really bad lighting. After this. Um, I don't think I had a vacation. I don't remember since really. Um, you remember we were like I go for IVAI for a month in New York, and people think, oh, great, you're in New York for a month, but they cannot realize how much we work there, you
We were
know,
working all day. Yeah, yeah.
all day, all day. Like we went out like what, like 5 times in a month.
To the
Um,
bar in the corner to get margaritas.
uh, yeah, well, we got hammered. We were drunk. We were drunk. Um, But yeah, and after that, with the whole illness thing, and oh my God, I was so happy that I saw you. But I have your picture on my private Instagram. Have you seen
which
it?
which
When we
picture?
met, well, my chemo started, and we
Oh,
met on
in
that
in in
on the
Belgrade.
first. Yeah, yeah, and I saw you, and
Hmm.
the caption is, and you brought me my favorite cookies from Paris. Yeah, it was,
Oh yes, I had
yeah,
forgotten, because I was this was over the summer. I was in Paris, and then I was going to
yeah.
Belgrade, and I was like, "What can I bring you? I want to bring you a gift." And you asked me for macaron from, which one are your favorites?
It's Pierre Hermé. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
And so I brought you a box of Pierre Hermé. Yes,
yeah. I
I
probably
remember.
puked it, but yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Oh.
and it was so wonderful seeing you there. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and hopefully we can travel soon and meet somewhere amazing.
Yes, I know we will. I know we will meet each other again. And we're running out of time. So I wanted to wrap up to ask you, as an artist, as a fashion designer, who, I mean, one of the purposes of your work is to empower beauty and women, and I mean everyone, because you also design for men. Um, what is one inspiring message you can give everyone to, you know, feel good and be themselves, and yeah.
And you kind of half said it, is being yourself.
Okay.
And not I mean, it's not easy. It's easy to say, be yourself, but it's far from easy.
Mm,
And yeah, I mean, just being brave.
mm, yeah.
Because I went through a
Hmm.
lot in the last
Hmm.
3 years.
Hmm.
And just I don't like whining, and I when I was sick, and for example, for media, I never talk about it. I just
Hmm.
never talk about it. Um, it was just like once when they surprised me with the question about it. But literally what I can say, and it's totally cheesy, but I was, I felt I was half dead,
Mhm.
and I was laying in my bed, and I had my parents crying next to me, and I just chose life, kinda. At least I feel like it. And
Mhm.
then I realized I can do anything. I mean,
Yes.
of course, I cannot do anything. I cannot be, Prince of Wales. You know, I'm not as ugly. But it just it gave me a lot of bravery, and I
Mhm.
think we should all be brave and proud of who we are, and just uh, represent ourselves in best way, but also just not walk all over anybody else, and just be good people.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and in the end, you will end up where you're supposed to be.
Mhm.
At this time, you and I are where we are supposed to be. We might end up, God knows where, you know, maybe not in music, maybe not in fashion,
Mm.
but at the moment we are here, and just to I mean, what did I say in the end? So my message is like 10 messages. But yeah,
Be
combine all
brave. Be
that, com
yourself, and be
be
brave, and be
brave
proud
and
of
be
who you are,
kind. And
and
be
be
kind.
kind. Be a good person. Yes,
Be a good person. Yeah,
I love it.
it's always in style. I have a wonderful friend here in Belgrade, and she's a famous journalist, and she had this huge successful show in Trend, and kindness is always in Trend.
Yes, that's the quote of the show.
That's the quote of
Kindness,
the show.
the quote of the show. Kindness is always
She's
in trend.
always in Trend.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
And with
always
that,
in.
we have to close because we have 30 seconds. I am so happy with this. Thank you so much for your
Thank
friendship,
you.
for your kindness, for your honesty,
You too.
and I will see you in the real world soon.
Okay, agreed. Bye,
XOXO!
everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.